Is your second floor too hot during the summer? I'm Bill Deck. Join my brother Bob and me as we study this situation and come up with corrections for our own homes. Bob and I both have similar situations. Our second floor is too hot, our first floor is comfortable, and our basement is too cold. To solve this problem, you need to know what is causing it. Well, the first thing is cold air is heavier than hot air. That's why a hot air balloon goes up, and why during the winter it's easier to get the heat up to the second floor. During the summer it's a little bit harder to get it up there. You also have a heavier cooling load on your system because both floors have equal wall area, but the second floor in addition has the attic, which is basically your ceiling, and the second floor has an easy bake oven sitting on top of it. Regardless of the insulation, this is still a heavier load on your air conditioning for the second floor than the first floor. And then if you have duct leakage, that air is not going where you want it. What are the solutions? Of course, the most obvious is to seal your ducts so you don't get all the air leaking out. And that would be part of anything you're going to do to solve the problem. Well, next, and one I've tried in the past and not maybe helps a little, but it's not really satisfactory, is you close down the registers on the first floor to try to force extra cooling up to the second floor. Another possible solution is to add a second floor air conditioning unit. This normally goes in the attic. It cools the second floor only, and it works very well. The problem is that this unit's going to cost you between $5,000 and $10,000. Well, there's another way. It's known as zoning. You add a second thermostat on the second floor to sense the temperature there. You add a control board that will take the thermostats, put them together, figure out what to tell the furnace to do, and you add dampers that the control board will control and direct the air where you want it at what time you want it there. In my house, I believe this is going to cost me between $800 and $900, a far cry from the $5,000 to $10,000 it would cost to add a second floor air conditioning unit. You may want to consult a heating and air conditioning expert before you take this on. If you mess up your system, you could do damage. You want to be sure you know what you're doing and what effect it will have on your unit.
Hi, I'm Bob. You've already met Bill. Today we're going to discuss the solutions to some of the problems he discussed earlier. First, duct cement. A mesh tape and a foil tape. The duct cement, where you have access, and if you have an unfinished basement, you should have pretty good access to the whole basement, is a great way to seal up all those little leaks that add up to a rather significant airflow into your basement, which is why you have such a low temperature besides air wanting to sink down there. So get a brush, a cheap one, not this one, to brush this on. Around the joints you can take and wrap and then brush the cement on. Brush your seams everywhere that you see some airflow coming out, or everywhere you have a joint. Also, you might have some leakage at your furnace, but some of these areas you may need to gain access to. In those circumstances, I would recommend a foil-faced tape that can be removed easily later should you need to get to your coils for your air conditioning or any other reason like that. Next, we're going to talk about the dampers. We ran tests. We blocked with a towel a certain number of vents on the first floor of the house. In my house I have 12. I blocked 6 of them. During that test, I was able to show that I was able to balance the temperature between the 2 floors. I had an 8-degree difference before that. So the damper that we have chosen requires the littlest amount of work. It comes with a set of screws, a template to put on the duct. It's rather simple. You just take any sort of a cutting wheel on a Dremel or Rotozip, whatever you might have, cut around the rectangle here. That will give you the little opening you need in the side of the ductwork. You don't need to take anything apart. At that point, the damper here, which will rotate when powered to a closed position, or vice versa, open, will slide in. Previously, while you have this up there, you'll drill 4 holes with a little drill bit to help pilot these screws in, which will go in the corners of the damper. The damper has 3 connectors so that you can power open or power close the damper. It takes about 90 seconds to run through a cycle. You have an adjustment here that you can rotate to put in line with the blades so you can see easier when they're open or closed. The damper slides in, put in your 4 screws, connect your wires, then from there it's just continue the wire to the next damper, around your basement until they're all wired, and then back to the control panel, which Bill is going to discuss now for you.
Yeah. I might mention on our situation, we only put dampers on the first floor, although the zone control panel will handle dampers on the second floor, would handle dampers for the basement if you wanted. But to get the balance we wanted, we only needed to close enough down on the first floor to pull the air up to the second floor. Now, the control panel here is the brains of the operation. It comes, control panel, if you buy the kit, it comes with a transformer, a temperature sensor that you put in the ductwork to sense the temperature of the air coming off. It acts as a sort of safety switch should things get out of kilter. If you get too cold when the air conditioning's on, or too hot when the furnace is on, this will alert the control panel that there's a problem. Comes with directions on how to hook it up. Normally you have screw holes here, 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 and here. They say if you're mounting it on a duct, you use these two, but you could use these four. On the wall, you put in the 4 screws. You open it up. This is where you do the wiring here. Here it has wiring for the thermostat for each zone. Zone 1, 2, 3. Dampers for each zone, 1, 2, and 3. To the equipment, which would be your furnace and air conditioning or heat pump if you're using this on a heat pump. Power from your transformer in. If you're using wireless thermostats, then you need additional equipment. That is Red Link, and it would wire in here. Then you don't need to run wires up to the second floor. The temperature sensor wires in here. Use this area to do the controls and set up, and then you can close it off, and has a nice thing out of the way, and you get little lights here as the system operates. Tells you which zones are on, and whether it's heating or cooling, or if it's purging. You'll need a second thermostat in our case. We ran wires up to the second floor in both houses. This is a Honeywell Wi-Fi enabled thermostat. You can then control it from your smartphone. If you're away from the house, you go away on vacation, you come back, you want the temperature to be comfortable when you get back. So pull your Wi-Fi or your smartphone out, tell it what to do. It also will control up to 4 different periods in a day. You can set the temperature that you like when you get up in the morning, the temperature that
While you're away at
while
work.
you're away at work, and then when you come home, you can set a temperature that you want it to be when you arrive home, and you can set a comfortable sleeping temperature.
Also, one thing is, you don't necessarily have to keep your second floor. It's cool all day. You can have it come on in the evening before you head up to bring it down to a comfortable temperature.
Yeah, and that's all built in. So the 2 thermostats, the first floor, which you may already have, will control the first floor, and then the second floor will control the second floor, and you have 2 different temperatures set to what you like it at each floor at each time.
And also, as Bill described, if you're not capable or it's just not feasible to run a wire to your second floor like we've done, as he described with the Red Link, there is a separate device that wires in, can control up to 4 thermostats. It's an additional price, but it may be worth it to you. What is it, Bill, about $100 for that device?
I think, well, you have maybe even a little bit more.
But
I think you're looking probably a couple $100 by the time.
it's an option that may be worth your time.
I think that covers most of it. Our next video, we're going to cover installation of the dampers and of the duct seal. And then we will cover wiring and installing the thermostat and the zone control panel.
We're also going to include some of the tools that you'll need to do the installation.